Hey Pierson, what's wrong?
Man, I'm just like feeling depressed, man.
Why?
I just can't fit in on campus.
Why do you feel this way?
I don't know how to get connected. I don't know how to make important connections for a job after college. I just don't know what to do.
You should think about joining the Old Masters.
Hello. That poor lad in that last video, that was me, 20 years prior to this day. Now, today we will be discussing why it's important for you to consider joining the Old Masters Club. Through the Old Masters Club, you will meet many friends, meet alumni, and potentially set up future career possibilities after your time here at Purdue University. And who knows, maybe one day you'll be as successful as I. Now, we will discuss the history of the Old Masters and its great time here at Purdue University.
What Old Masters is it's one of the oldest organizations on Purdue's campus. We started back in 1950 with the thought of being able to reconnect alumni to Purdue and then I'll use their success as an inspiration for current students. And so basically every fall semester we take 10 successful alumni who graduated in Purdue, either undergrad, graduate program, whatever, and they've been successful in their field, whether that's research, whether that's CEO of a company, whether that's business side, science side, whatever. And basically, they're on campus for 3 days, and they share their story. So they go out to classrooms, they give presentations. This past year we had Evening with the Old Masters, which was sort of like a TED Talks set up with a panel where we could ask questions with the audience. And then the Old Masters, it's really a time for them to reconnect on campus, so they get that student feel all over again. And while we do that, we have 50 hosts, and so the hosts will be assigned to an Old Master. So each Old Master would have 5 hosts, and they will escort them through the 3 days to all the events, everything that they need to go to. My position, I was a host last year. This year I'm on the Central Committee, and so there are 11 others in my position, and we basically decide what Old Masters will be coming back the next year, decide how the program will be set up, and then we'll select the hosts. There's a lot of leadership opportunities on campus. What Old Masters is, I mean, it's definitely a leadership development program, but it also develops you professionally. There's not a whole lot of groups on campus that allow you to connect, with 10 CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. And so, the expertise you learn through that, and really, how the business world carries over into every environment, and in the sciences and the business world, and how to communicate, I say, effectively, and learning to differentiate, between the professional environment and then the casual environment.
That's up to the Central Committee every year to decide. So the majority of the Old Masters are alumni. Our Central Committee kind of wanted to have all alumni just because we thought that was the better connection. But in the years past, sometimes there's been 1 or 2 who have had a connection with Purdue but didn't exactly go here. So it's really up to the Central Committee every year, but usually it is all alumni.
For example, Mitch Daniels, he did not graduate from Purdue, but he was an Old Master, I believe, 3 years ago. And so he was selected because of his involvement with Purdue and in the state of Indiana. So normally they're all Purdue alumni, but not always the case.
Now that we've discussed the history and the time that Old Masters has had here at Purdue University, let's discuss the benefits and the reasons why you should join and be a part of the legacy of Old Masters.
Obviously, it's pretty unique to be able to meet the 10 Old Masters and the 1 honorary Old Master with their incredible accomplishments. But I think the most unique thing is actually the students. You are with 49 of the best and brightest students that Purdue has to offer, and it's a lot of people that you wouldn't have gotten to meet otherwise. So it's a really neat opportunity to make friends and network within the student body at Purdue, not just in the professional world.
Again, I would echo the professional development. I think any time that you have an organization that puts relationships as number 1, that's something worth working for. And in my opinion, that's what Old Masters is. It's hosts forming relationships with the Old Masters, Old Masters forming relationships with current students, inspiring students. If you're in a classroom and you get to see an old master who was in your same spot, X number of years ago, and realize that you can attain those same goals, you can realize those same things through the same path they had. Anytime that you're in a situation where you can inspire others in that way, I think it's a great opportunity. And so that's what I took away from it.
It's taught me not to be afraid to take a chance. So when I was a host last year and this year, listening to the Old Masters, almost all of them have taken chances and their careers have not gone how they've expected them to go. And that's one thing that's really been beneficial to me looking towards my future, knowing that sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith. Maybe your job is going to require you to go live overseas for a few years. Maybe you're going to switch positions entirely and not do anything related to what your major is. Don't be afraid to take those chances and work hard and things will turn out well.
I'd probably say my old master when I was a host last year. So he was Marshall Larson. He was the former CEO of United Technology Corporations, and he really just did a great job of speaking to students about like not being afraid to try something new. I feel like people, and I'm the same way, are always thinking like, I can't get that, how did they get to that position? Like, there's no way I'll be that successful ever. But he did a great job of, he was the same way, and then he kind of just thought, like, why can't I get that? Someone has to get this promotion, someone has to get this job, someone has to get this position in this student organization, so why can't that be me? So kind of pushing students to really not be afraid to try something new.
So my old master for this previous year was Dr. Juan Ernesto de Badu. He was born in Colombia, had the opportunity to come to Purdue to study industrial engineering. And with that, he graduated in 1967 with a bachelor's degree, graduated the following year with a master's degree in industrial engineering, and through a little bit of time, began his career with Kimberly-Clark Corporation. At the time, there was not really any sort of involvement in Latin America, but since he was from Latin America, he was selected to be on the team that starts to develop that region for the company. And so he went on to expand Kimberly-Clark into all 22 Latin American countries, and it was named unanimously the best workplace in all of Latin America for every country. And so being able to work with a company like that, where especially when you look at Latin America and how different those countries are, both politically, geographically, economically, but still being able to be voted as #1, I think that says a lot. And so learning from him how you can relate to people, and even though there are differences, you can still put those aside for the greater good.
Well, I'm slightly biased, but my old master was pretty great. Last year is Ted Bishop, the 30th president of the PGA of America. He was an agronomy graduate at Purdue, and it was a really, really neat opportunity to get to know him, and his wife came along as well. And he was just so humble. Couldn't really believe that this honor was being given to him, but he really enjoyed being back on campus and speaking with the students. And he's just a really, really interesting person, and was really happy that I got to interact with him and build that relationship.
Now, when I was a lonely lad, a depressed lad, as you saw in the very first video, I didn't know how to get involved. Now, we will discuss how to get involved and what steps you need to take to be a part of Old Masters.
There's an application process in the fall each year. We have a spring call-out that'll be in April sometime, and there's also a call-out in the fall. The application form is online now, I believe. It consists of several essays and some general information, so you turn that in mid-September typically. Both years that I've been in it, and as far as I know, it's always Tuesdays at 7 p.m.
Hello again. I hope you enjoyed our presentation today. Today, we talked about the reasons why you should join, some of the benefits of Old Masters, as well as the logistics of how you should get involved. When you're looking for a club at Purdue University, I hope you keep Old Masters in mind. And remember, I don't always join a club, but when I do, I join Old Masters.